Hello friends, I hope all of you are doing good. So today we are going to look at a topic called simultaneous linear equations. Okay, so before getting into the subject, right, what this topic explains, let's get some basics correct before this. What do you mean by linear equations? What do you mean by simultaneous linear equations? Till now you may have dealt with equations which are in one variable, right? For example, like this, something of this sort: ax plus b is equal to 0. Okay, x is the only variable over here if you look at it, right? These two, a and b, are constants. Basically they will take some value, constants in real numbers, any real numbers. Okay, they can be. So for example, if I may take one example, right, like 4x plus 5 equal to 0. So what do normally in these kind of, it has only one variable. So what is the value of x which will satisfy this equation? What is the value you are going to, how do you find out? What do? You just go ahead and solve this equation. You take the 5 to the other side and you do x is equal to minus 4 by 5. So this is the value. When you put it in x, right, this equation will satisfy. Basically the left hand side will be equal to the right hand side. Now let's look at it. Let's plug in the value of minus 5 by 4 in this. So on the left hand side you have 4x plus 5, right? Now I'm going to plug in that value, minus 5 by 4 plus 5 over here. So what do you get? 4 gets cancelled. It is minus 5 plus 5. These two get cancelled and you get a 0. Look at it. They both are same. So this is what you have studied till now. Okay. So these are linear equations. Why do we call them as linear equations? Because the degree of that, the power of that variable is 1. Okay, remember that. Going forward in further chapters, you will have equations of this sort: ax squared plus bx plus c. If you look at it, right, the degree of this equation is 2. It starts with 2 over here, right? Though it has a degree of 1 over here, but the higher degree is 2. This is known as quadratic equation. Quadratic equation. Okay, you're going to study this further. So let's limit this class for linear equations at the time being. Okay, so this is what you have studied of variables, which your equations which have only one variable. So we'll move to the next one where you will have two variables. There will be equations. There will be linear equations where you will have two variables, right? Now, how do we represent that? I can represent that equation like this: ax plus by is equal to c, and I can write another equation as ax plus by equal to c. Look at it. How many variables do you have? You have two variables. Now, these are two linear equations. Basically, if you want to plot them on a graph, right? On a graph paper like this, okay, you have this one called as x-axis and this one will be your y-axis. This one will be minus y here and this one will be minus x. Look at it as two number lines put at perpendicular to each other. Okay, so this is how it's going to be. Now when we talk about a equation like this, right, ax plus by equal to c, it may lie anywhere on the plane. It may lie anywhere. It can be like this. Okay, it can be like this, it can be like this, it can be like this, it can go like this, it can go like this. Look at it. It's in that plane of x and y. It is in that plane. Now when they give you two equations like this, right, what are they asking us to find out is that, can you get me a point where this x and y value, what we are going to find out, right, basically that point, that both the lines pass through that particular point. a single point where these two lines meet in that particular plane. That is what this topic is all about. That's why they give you two equations, because whenever you have two variables, right, you need two equations to find out the value of those variables. Okay. Earlier I showed you that example 4x plus y equal to 0. Do you need two equations over here to find out the value? No. There is only one variable, so with only one equation I should be able to find out the value of x, right? So that is the whole concept of simultaneous linear equations. Okay. So now we'll understand what are the different methods by which you'll be able to solve these linear equations, right? This chapter basically covers three different methods. I have just taken an example. I'll use the same example and show you guys that how can we use those three different methods to solve those linear equations and get the value of x and y over here, which satisfies both these equations. When you get the pair of values of x and y, right, when you put them back into this equation, what it means is that these two linear equations, they are linear lines basically, they will coincide at that particular point, whatever value you get. Okay, so let's get into the details of how to solve and what are the different methods do we use. So the very first method is known as substitution method. Substitution method. Okay, let me explain this and then I'm going to go to the second and third method. So what does the word substitution means? The word substitution means that I'm going to use the value of x from one equation over here, either x or y, and I'm going to put it into the other equation to basically solve it. So let me help you to solve that. Now, what is your first equation over here? It's 5x plus 4y is equal to 4. I'll write it this way. Okay, this is, you have to mark it as equation 1. And your second equation is x minus 12y is equal to 20. I can write it and mark it as equation 2. So I'll take equation 2 and what I'm going to do is that I'm going to basically have x equal to something in terms of y. Look at it. So you need to write these steps in your exam. From equation 2, right? X minus 12y is equal to 20. Can I write it like this? X is equal to 20 plus 12y. I can do that. Look at it. I can put it like that. So I have the value of x in terms of y. So this I'm going to mark it as equation 3. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use this value of x and substitute in equation 1. So what I'm going to write? Substitute the value of x from equation 3 into equation 1. Look at it. Okay, what do I have equation 1? I'll write it like this: 5x plus 4y is equal to 4. And remember one thing, whenever you have an equation like this, right, and when you're going to the next step, always use this sign. This is known as implies. Okay, so you're showing that you're going to the next step over here. Since I already have an equal to over here, that's why I need to use this. Remember this. Now 5 times, can I put the value of x? X is 20 plus 12y plus 4y is equal to 4. Look at it. What do I get? I get the entire equation in only one variable right now. I should be able to go ahead and solve this equation, right? That is what the intent was of this particular method. Now let's go ahead and resolve this. What do you get? 5 into 20 is 100. 100 plus 60y. 100 plus 60y plus 4y is equal to 4. Okay, so now in the next step, what I'm going to do? I'm going to take 100 to the other side. This becomes how much? 64y. 64y should be equal to 4 minus 100. which is equal to 64y is equal to minus 6. So therefore, what is the value of y you are getting? Y is equal to minus 96 by 64, right? So both are divisible by 8, right? So 8, okay, I'll do it with 8 first. 8 ones are 8, 8 12s are 96 and 8 8s are 64. This goes with 4 as well. 4 2s are 8 and 4 3s are. So your value of y, what did you get? You got it as minus 3 by 2. You got the value of y? Okay, that is the point where you have, where these two lines will meet. Now what do you need to do? Now use this value and put it in this equation to get the value of x, because you need the value of x. So from equation 3, we know that x is equal to 20 plus 12y. Put the value of y over there. 20 plus 12 times, it is minus 3 by 2, minus 3 by 2. So 2 6 it becomes what? X is equal to 20 minus 18. So therefore x is equal to 2. Look at it. These are the two values we get. Okay. So the pair of values, if you look at it, right? X comma y is equal to 2 comma minus 3 by 2. This signifies that when you put the value of x and y in both these equations, right, it will satisfy this equation completely. Okay, it will satisfy this equation, and this is the point where these two lines meet. This is that point. It is 2 minus 3 by 2. Okay, next is the second method which we are going to understand. The first method we have seen, it's substitution method. The second method is known as elimination method. In this particular method, right, what we try to do is that we try to eliminate one of the variables by doing some mathematical operations. Okay, for example, look at it. In the first equation, you have a 4y over here, and in the second equation, you have a minus 12y. When can I make sure that I can make these two values the same? These constants, can I make it same? What is the operation I have to do to ensure that this also becomes 12? The only way to do it is that, can I multiply it with 3? The entire equation, can I multiply it with 3? And this equation, I'm going to multiply it with 1, because I'm not going to change anything of that one. So what happens? You multiply the first equation by 3. So what happens? It becomes 15x. 3 times 5x is 15x plus 12y. Look at it. Plus 12y is equal to 12. It's the same. If you look at these two equations, the only thing what I have done is that I multiplied 3 throughout. Okay. And in this particular case, I'm multiplying it with 1. So nothing changes over here. Like put it as is. So look at it. Magic, right? Did I make the variable same? Now look at it. Between these two equations, what is the operation I can do so that I can eliminate this? Can I add both these equations? Can I add both these equations? Look at it. When I do an addition, right, of both these equations, what do I get? I get 15x plus x, right? Then plus 12y minus 12y is equal to 12 plus 20. I've just combined both of them by adding them. Okay, what happens? Look at it. This gets eliminated, right? That is what we wanted to do. We wanted to eliminate one of the variables and find the value of x. So what do you get over here? If you look at it, you get 16x is equal to 32, right? So therefore, the value of x is equal to 2. That is what we have got in the previous example as well, right? Now what I'm going to do is that, since I have the value of x, right, I'll put it in one of these equations and get the value of y. So I'll take this equation. This equation is much more simpler. Okay, let me take this. So if I take that, x minus 12y is equal to 20. Now I know that the value of x is 2. I'll put it as 2 over here. 12y minus 20. So what does it become? Minus 12y, keep it over here, and this will become 20 minus 2, which is equal to minus 12y is equal to 18. That means y will be equal to minus 18 by 12. So 6 3s are 6 2s are. So your value of y is equal to minus 3 by 2. Look at it. Did you get the same value as the previous one? When we used the substitution method, we got x as 2 and y is equal to minus 3. Now look at the third method. Let's look at third method, which is known as cross multiplication method. The same set of equations which we have used earlier, right, in your substitution method and elimination method. Now we'll look at one more method to solve the same problem in a different way. This is a different way. So in this particular case, what you need to do is that first and foremost thing, you need to identify the matrix, right? What you need to do is that first and foremost thing, you need to put three fractions like this. Okay, you put x like this, should be equal to y like this, should be equal to 1 by like this. Okay, this way. Now to calculate the value of x, right, what we are going to do is that I am going to cover x. I am going to cover x over here. So what am I left with? I am going to use only the coefficients of these two. Okay, write this. So what I am going to do is that I am going to write only the coefficients. What is the coefficient of plus y? It is plus 4 and it is minus 12 over here. And what is the next set? It is minus 4 and minus 20. Done? So I am going to use these two set of values to calculate x, and I am going to show you how we are going to do it before moving. Now for y, for calculating for y, what I need to do, I need to close this one. I need to close this one. What are the values I'm going to look at it? I'm going to look at it this one and this one, if you look at it. Okay, so I already have these values written over here. Look at it, minus 4 and 20 are already given. I need to just note these two, which is plus 5 and plus 1. Done. I'm going to use this one. So these two will be used to calculate for x. These two will be used to calculate for y. And the third one, when I close this over here, what is left? I already have 5 and 1 over here. I'm going to write these two over here. Plus 4 and minus 12. Look at it. Okay, because I'm going to use these two to calculate for 1. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to put it in a nicer format so that it becomes much more easier to understand. So what did I tell you? When I want to calculate it for x, I need the coefficients of these four values. I'll put it over here. It's plus 4, minus 4, minus 12 and minus 20. Done? Okay. Now when I have to calculate for this one, right, I need these two. Since this was already written here, I need to repeat the same thing over here. Minus 20, and I have to write this one. This I have already put it, and this one I need to write. It is plus 5 plus 1. Done? Okay. So now when I need to calculate for 1, I need the variables, I need the constants for both x and y. Since this is already there, I am going to copy it again over here. Plus 5 plus 1, and then I am going to put it these two, because look at it. Plus 5 plus 1 I have already taken. I need to take plus 4 and minus 12. So this becomes plus 4 and minus 12. Now what I'm going to write in the denominator? It's very simple. You need to cross multiply these two. Plus 4 times minus 20 minus outside this one into this one, which is minus 12 times minus 4. Similarly, I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to cross multiply like this. So it's minus 4 times plus 1 and minus it is 20 times plus 5, right? So this one will become plus 5 into minus 12 minus of plus 1 times plus 4. Look at it. Okay, now let's go ahead and resolve this. What do you get? You get x by, this becomes minus 80, this becomes plus into minus becomes plus, so this will become minus 48 is equal to y by, you get minus 4 and this is minus 100, right, is equal to 1 by, this becomes minus 60 and minus 4. Okay, so what do you get ultimately when you add, when you resolve all the denominators? You get x by minus 128 is equal to y by minus 104 is equal to 1 by minus 64. Now what you need to do is that to find the value of x and y, I can write like this. So therefore, I can write it as x by minus 128 equal to 1 by minus 64. And I can write it like this also. Y by minus 104 is equal to 1 by minus 64. Since all three are equal to each other, you can equate it as you want. It doesn't matter. Okay. So now what happens? This minus minus gets cancelled. So you get x is equal to 128 divided by 64, which is equal to 2, and y is equal to minus 104 divided by minus 64. Yeah, I could figure it out. We made a mistake over here. If you look at it, it is minus 20 times plus 5. So this will become plus 100, because minus into plus will give you 100. Minus 100 minus into minus will become plus. So this becomes positive 104. So ultimately you get a value of 2 and minus 3 by 2. So did you understand? So we got to the same place. In all the three methods, it is very clear that you get to the same answer, 2 and minus 3. X is equal to 2 and y is equal to minus 3. Now, the $1 million question is that which is the method which you are going to use for, if they give you a question saying that solve the pair of simultaneous equations, they don't mention any method. Which is the method which you are going to use it? Good guess. It should be always elimination method. Elimination method is the easiest one. You don't take much time. If you did not understand the elimination, go back to the video and look at all the three methods. You'll see that we took the least amount of time by doing by elimination method. So whenever, if it is not specified in the question to do it with a particular method, you should always use elimination method, because speed matters. Answer should be same at the end of the question. Okay, great.